Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday evening, and I thought I would just do a little recording. I'm in my favorite spot in the living room. I apologize for the reflections in my glasses, and but I can't see without them, so just have to deal with the reflections. Talking about reflections, being a senior, and I'm in my 70s. There's a lot that I have to reflect on in my life, and there's been some devastating things and some wonderful things, everything, because over 70 years, we experience a lot of life. I'm just going to give a little warning. This may trigger some people. I just want to let you know I'm going to be talking about my son who passed away over 25 years ago. And how did I get through that loss? What did I do after it? How did I move forward? And so there's a lot about it, and I may have other YouTube videos that talk about this. My son was approximately 26 years old when he passed away. It was a motor vehicle accident, and it was in mid-December. It was very devastating. I didn't know how to move forward, how to continue on. My granddaughter was about 2.5 years old, and fortunately, her mom and I worked out so that we had part-time care of her, which was wonderful. I loved every day of it. I call her my little angel because she helped us through. We helped her through. My husband was very down to earth, and he said to me, he said, Sherry, you can't bury your head in the sand. You have to continue to live. I have another son, and I have my granddaughter, and I have my husband. The first year was hard. It went by fast, which sounds weird, but it did. We were dealing with paperwork, everything that you deal with when you're going through such a devastating loss. He wasn't married, and I gotta say, my youngest son, oh man, he was so strong. I wanted to go in and clean out my older son who passed away. I wanted to go and clean out his home, but my younger son and his friends said, no, 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 we'll go do it. And they hooked up a horse trailer, and I think it was a horse trailer of some kind. And they went and they took one day and cleaned everything out. Our family is very much about moving forward. It doesn't mean that I didn't grieve. I did. The first year, it feels like there's a veil. It felt like there was a veil in front of me. And it was like I was looking through a very thin curtain. My husband was a very strong, we'll talk about him in a later video. He has since passed on as well. But my husband is very strong, supportive. We have to move forward. And that's what we did. So, seeing as it was in a motor vehicle accident, victim services came and they offered some assistance. We arranged the service ourselves, and I gotta say, at the service, it was only standing room only, and I felt everybody was there, and it was, I still remember like it was yesterday. Anyhow, when we were talking to the people who were giving us some guidance, the first thing they said to me was, Sherry, you need to drink. Make sure you drink lots of water. Make sure you eat, because if you don't, it won't be good. And I followed that. And then the next thing we did, we all stayed home over Christmas. And then we sat and talked, my husband, my son, and I. And we all returned to work on the same day. And before we returned to work, we visited the accident site all together. So we did everything together. We're a very tight unit, which I'm so thankful for. Watch out for each other. Now there's my youngest son, myself, and my granddaughter in our immediate family. And we also have my nephew on my husband's side. He's now joined our family. I call him my adopted son. So during the time, the first year, it was hard. I cried every day. I don't deny it. I cried every day in the shower where no one could see me. I found it very difficult to listen to music. In fact, I found it difficult to listen to music for many, many years because, of course, some of the songs are emotional songs. And I'm typically not a crier. And I don't like for people to see me cry. I'm an ugly crier, let's just put it that way. I just look terrible. And so, going on with the story, I was a college instructor and I taught computer courses. I also taught in college prep, all that kind of stuff. And about 2 weeks, we had 2 weeks where we gathered ourselves together. And I was scheduled to teach a classroom full of young men that were my son's age. I told my boss, I said, yes, I'll do it. And I'm very direct. In fact, some people would say I'm blunt. And I said to the young men, I said, I don't want anybody to come and give me a hug. I'm going to tell you what happened so that you've heard it from a reliable source. And I talked to them and I said, now I am here to teach you. And they were very thankful that I was honest, and it was the best thing I ever did. In that classroom of young men who were my son's age, there was a huge support. And men are different than women. They don't do the huggy thing, and they respect all that kind of stuff. And so that was really, really helpful to me. My husband returned to his work, and he went through, and we talked one night, and I said, so when do you cry? You got to cry, right? And he says, I cry when I'm driving to work, and I cry when I'm coming home. And so it took him 2 hours to drive to work and 2 hours, of course, to drive home. And his support team in his work were awesome throughout the whole thing. I'll talk more about this as I get going. Life was different the first year. I found the second year, surprisingly enough, to be harder. The first year, everybody is love bombing you. I'm sorry, that's a bad phrase, but it's true. Everybody's phoning. Are you okay? Do you need some help? Do you want to go for coffee? And then the second year, everybody goes about their normal business, which is the way it should be. And we did as well. But the second year, I found that some people expected me to go back to who I was before. Well, that person didn't exist anymore. When you've been through the loss of a child, there's nothing, nobody can explain it to anybody else. And I don't wish it on anybody else. As I had mentioned, my husband was an extremely strong person. And we leaned on each other throughout the years that we were married. My granddaughter, she was a star. And during the time after the loss, we had been building a cabin out at a lake. That cabin took us through, we worked so hard on it that through all of the hard work and the being together as a family, and not just us three, it was other family members who would come and help. And so over the years, we built the cabin. And so we remember that as a time of healing. And so that was a good time. Who would think that hard work would get you through? Who did I have as role models? My mother lost my youngest sister my youngest sister was about 25, 26 years old as well. My grandma lost her daughter, and my mother-in-law lost her daughter. So I had three wonderful people as guides and as supports. My grandmother, of course, had passed away before Dave, my oldest son, passed. Um, but she was an example. She lost her husband and raised 5 kids and never did get married and lived on a farm. So I come from strong examples of women that I look up to, and they were all so very strong. My mom was my best support. Okay, not going to cry here because I'm not a crier. She would phone me absolutely every night, or I would phone her. And we'd talk for hours, sometimes only about what I was making for supper. My husband and I loved going to her house, and we would help her build a shed or fix a house, or I love spending time with my mom. My faith got me through too. I do believe in God, and I believe in Jesus, and I believe in prayer. And I believe that we were never promised a life without problems, and without loss, without grief, and without mourning. I never did blame God for this happening. I truly believe accidents happen. Sometimes we make poor choices, and that's the freedom of choice. So I hope that I'll talk more about my journey and things along the way. There are times for the first couple of years, I would receive mail for my son who passed away. And we equate the ego with my son. And every time my granddaughter's out on a trip or I'm out driving in the country, we see eagles. And so we always say that we have an army of angels looking after us. Trust me, we need that. So I know that I will see them again. I fully believe in that. And I have faith that we just keep on going. Somebody once asked, how do you keep on going? And as I had mentioned before, I had listened to an Elizabeth Elliot, I think her name is, and she had suffered great losses in her life. And she's on YouTube. She has passed away, but her podcasts are awesome. And she said, I just do the next thing. And that's what I did. I did the next thing. If the floor needs washing, do it. Getting myself up in the morning and out of bed, some days not easy. It's been 25 years after the loss of my son, but it's only been 2 years since my husband passed. So some mornings are difficult, but I get up out of bed. I also have a cat. And yeah, if his food is not in his dish at 7 o'clock, you can be darn sure he's getting me up. So I don't ignore the grief. I allow myself to cry. And I don't allow it to continue on for days and days and days. It is important to go through all of the steps of loss and grieving. And I'm terrible for not asking for help. I'm very Like, I can do it myself. My husband would say, "Do you need help?" And I'd say, "No, I can do it myself." And I'm short and I'm a little bit chubby. And so you can see this little short, chubby person come in. I can do it myself. Sounds like a little 2-year-old, like my granddaughter when she was 2. But I hope you're enjoying my channel, and I hope that this talk has helped somebody along the way, or even to just realize that if you have suffered a loss, you're not alone. Stay strong. Ask for help when you need it. And I always have a faith. Today may have been a bad day, but tomorrow, it's going to be pretty good. And I always count on it. There's times where the grief in the morning will catch me unexpectedly. And it can be the silliest little darn thing. It can be a song. It can be somebody you see in a store that looks like the person that you've lost. And I've gotten used to it. And it doesn't surprise me anymore. And I just hold it close to my heart that this is the way that I can continue on, stay connected. My granddaughter and my son are wonderful, wonderful people. And I hope that you're all well. And I hope that you all never have to suffer the loss of a child. It is a devastating thing to go through. So stay strong. Do the next thing that needs doing, even if it's doing dishes. Because even those bubbles that are in your dishwater, they can be pretty. Look at them closer. Everybody says, yeah, right, it's dishes. Even folding clothes, I'm thankful that I can do my own laundry, and I can do my own cooking, and I can fold my own clothes. Anyhow, I could go on for hours, but I'm not going to. And I wish you all the best, and I will be back soon. See you later.